What's up, duelists? Gotta showcase a little bit of my favorite deck of all time, Dragon Link. Gotta update it for February 2023. Of course, there's speculation of the ban list dropping before the YCS. That will change things about this deck. There's also speculation about, the new set and how that affects decks like this. But for the most part, this is the list I've been playing. This is a list I'm very happy with. If you guys aren't already subscribed, if you like Dragon Link content, of course, go ahead and smash like, smash subscribe, smash comment, smash the fucking screen in, punch your monitor right now. Okay, let's talk about the deck. This is a Bestial Dragon Link deck. It's a little bit different from your average Dragon Link deck or the ones I've played on the channel in the past because it doesn't have the rocket monsters. I decided to forego the rocket monsters for a little bit more flexibility in my power spells. I have 2 Pot of Desires, 1 Call by the Grave, and 1 Triple Tactics Talent. These are kind of in the slots that the rockets would be taken up. And then, of course, I have a few extra normal summons that, would be cut if I wanted to play the rockets, like Dragon Maid and extra tidying, probably, maybe one of these Safers or one of these Black Metal Dragons. But for the most part, this deck plays pretty much like an Edison deck, if I'm going to be real. You just kind of use your cards one for one and try to grind out the opponent. It's kind of weird how not very many decks can play through a repeated compulsory evacuation loop with seal and tidying. Still, to this day, it's very difficult for decks to play through that. So a lot of what this deck is trying to do is just set up seal tidying and then have a bunch of Bestials in your hand to pressure the opponent and interact with their unfair graveyard stuff. Chaos Space is obviously the best card in this deck. It searches you Bestial Lubellion. It also gets you Baby Dragons and Chaos Dragon Levianeer. Safer gets you everything you need. Black Metal Dragon gets you a start. Obviously, the Chamber searches the tidying, helps you get your loop going. And this list can afford to play Pot of Desires, despite having Branded Beast and Branded Regained as cards you don't really want to banish, as well as the Baby White and Black Dragon. This deck definitely doesn't really need to have those cards to win the game by any means. So you can play the powerful Pot of Desires and go from there. The sideboard, I'm pretty happy with the first 12 cards. Nib, Ash, Evenly Matched, and Skill Drain. I think these 12 cards absolutely need to stay. I'm not sure about Solemn Judgment. I think that this is just a card that I have as a placeholder. But the other 12 cards are just so insanely powerful. Nibiru stops all the unfair combos that are trying to do busted stuff against you. Ash Blossom is just the best 1-for-1 in the game. Evenly Matched is a way to just sweep boards going second, and then Skill Drain is a way to shut off entire boards or just like control what your opponent's trying to do in terms of broken effect monsters in play. The extra deck's pretty straightforward. You got your Link 1s, you got triple spheres. You're going to be making these pretty frequently and recycling them. I've had games so far where I've played all 3 of the spheres. You'll see. I'm going to show you 3 replays. But yeah, there's definitely games where you go through all 3. IP Masquerena and Dark and Nightmare Phoenix. These guys are just classics, banger monsters. Nightmare Unicorn, of course. Triple Burst for the Pisty Arrows rarely comes up. Access Code, I make this dude as often as I can. Underworld Goddess. One of the benefits of playing this list is you have a few extra slots because you're not playing synchros from the rocket stuff. So I do get to play Underworld Goddess. And also you're not going to be dark locked because you're not playing the rocket stuff. So you can actually play some of these powerful Link monsters like Nightmare Phoenix and Underworld Goddess that aren't dark. And then you also get to play Abyss Dweller. And then I've got Wallow and Zeus. Wallow comes up a bit, but for the most part, the cards you're making in this deck, Hieratic Seal, IP Masquerena, Unicorn, Access Code, sometimes Dark, and the Link ones. That's really all that comes up. Wallow sometimes, of course. Let's go ahead and hop into these replays. I got 3 replays for y'all. This is a really, really good one, I think. I've got 2 really good ones and one that's kind of like, you know what I'm talking about. Opening hand, we've got Branded Regained. I actually love this card. This is such a cool card design where you get like an extra draw once per turn, but you have to kind of work for it. It's so sick. And you can also get the extra draw on your opponent's turn. And then at the same time, you can special summon back your Bestials. It's one of those cards where it's like never going to just like blow out your opponent. But if it stays in play for a turn or 2, you're going to definitely take over the game. For sure, for sure. So pretty solid starting hand. And I get to go first. I've got starters in Black Metal and Safer. I've got Pot of Desires and I've got Lubellion. So this is like pretty much just an ideal starting hand. I link into Striker Dragon. I use Black Metal to search for Red Eyes Darkness Metal. You guys recognize him from Edison format. Banish the... No, I don't banish the Striker yet. I go for the Bestial Lubellion first. I search for Magnamit. I could search Magnamit here. I could search Serenir, but because we have the Branded Regained, we search for Magnamit. Serenir would help you get access to Branded Regained and Branded Beast, but because we already have the Regained, we only need We only need the beast. We can search for Magnamint and get that extra search. Now I banish for Striker Dragon, bring out Red Eyes, and they Effect Veiler me, which is cool. I'll take that. I'm already up +1, so that's just a nice little +1 on the opponent. Activate Branded Regained. I go ahead and banish the monster, or I try to banish the monster, but instead they have their own Magnamint to chain to ours, which sucks, but it happens. I use Regain to put back their Effect Veiler, and then I draw a card, and I rip Chaos Space, which is obviously busted as hell. I'm going to activate Chaos Space, I think. Yep, pitch Seifert, go search for the Black Dragon. Black Dragon's going to banish something. No, I actually elect to go for sacrificing the Red Eyes for Lubellion to get Branded Beast into play. I think that's a pretty decent play. There's not really much else I'm going to be doing with this Red Eyes besides linking it off, so I might as well go ahead and grab my Beast while I'm at it. So I grab the Beast, and then I go for Banish Seifert for Black Dragon, link off that dude into Pisty, search White Dragon, banish the Black Dragon, special summon White Dragon, activate Chaos Space, put back the Black Dragon, draw another card, draw into Dragonmaid Tidying, which is perfect. That's exactly the type of interruption we want here. We're going to link off our 2 monsters into Seal. White Dragon's going to search that Black Dragon that we put back, and then we're going to activate Pot of Desires, banishing 10 cards and drawing 2 more cards. And you can see how easily this deck, like, despite banishing our Lioneer and stuff, like, despite banishing some quality stuff here with the Desires, you can see how easily this sort of deck will control a game and just kind of just lock the opponent out with Tidying, Seal, Branded Beast. That's 3 really, really diverse interactions that are a little bit difficult to interact with all 3 using the same card. So the opponent also, they used their 2 interactions already. They used Magnamint, they used Effect Veiler. So they're down to like 3, maybe 4 real cards after their draw step. Yes, Magnamint gets them a search, but like who cares, right? Like who asked? And we have just like a shitload of awesome stuff. We have double Magnamint, we have Tidying, we have Seal, we have Branded Beast, we have Regain to revive something and draw us more cards. So we just have like infinite resources. And this is kind of how this list plays. It plays more like a resource control deck. I'm going to go ahead and main phase, sack the Seal to Branded Beast to pop their Magnamint. I just want to get it out of play. And then I'm going to search Black Metal Dragon. So if this Black Metal Dragon ever dies, or if we sack it for Branded Beast, then we get a search for our second Red Eyes Darkness Metal, which will give us an OTK next turn, pretty much guaranteedly. And we just pass the turn. They search Druid's Worm, but very, very difficult for them to really play through all of this. I mean, they only have 5 cards, one of which is a Druid's Worm. They're going to try to activate it. And then they're going to try to activate their Magnamint, which was their draw for turn. They're going to do it in the standby phase because they don't control any monsters. So we can't actually chain our Bystials at this point. But it doesn't really matter. Like 2 level 6 vanillas doesn't really affect us here. They're going to banish our shit, our Pisty, and our... What is this guy? Fucking Heavenly Spheres. Our Regain's going to activate. Regain can then put back Guard Dragon Pisty and draw us a card. We have a little bit of a discussion about the ruling on how this works. I look up the ruling, and it turns out if you put back an extra deck monster, you do get to draw a card, which is really nice. So we put that back. We do get to draw a card. And we draw Dragonmaid Tidying. So we've drawn all 3 Tidying, which is kind of silly, but still a good card. Can't really complain about it being here. And then in the standby phase, I try to activate Branded Beast. Turns out you can't. You have to do it during the main phase, which is silly. But yeah, I just do it in the main phase. They go for Mathmech Sigma, and I'm like, oh, shit, good thing I waited. I'm just going to blow that shit up. So I blow it up. I search for my Red Eyes Darkness Metal. They try to link off into IP Masquerena. They activate the Druid's Worm, popping our Bystial Lubellion, which I'm more than happy with. We have a million ways to bring that guy back. If anything, yeah, he's even better in the grave. They go ahead and use their normal summon on Code Generator. I'm not even sure what any of these cards do. All I know is I have a million 1-for-1s, and I'm just going to stop the normal summon, and that's going to stop their combo. So I banish their Druid's Worm. I bring out Bystial Magnamint. Regained was Chainlink 1 to special summon back out our Lubellion. Again, we have a million ways to bring this guy back. Magnamint's going to activate, get us a search, and then I'm going to Tidying and bounce their shit and bounce my shit, and they have 1 card to my 13, and what can you do? That's how you play this deck. It just controls the game really well against these types of decks. This game's a little bit tougher. I didn't know how to sideboard versus Mathmech. I've never really read the cards or learned anything about them. I just know that my deck is generally speaking better than their deck, so I just kind of hoped that resubmitting would work. They go ahead and activate Circular. They go for a really crazy combo turn. I have an Infinite Impermanence, but Imperm isn't really good against this deck because all of its stuff is just like accumulating bodies. Everything they're doing is accumulating bodies, adding more bodies to the field. And everything they can keep doing just adds more bodies to the field. It's really hard to find a place to imperm because every single card does more or less the same thing. I can't imperm the Heat Soul, which is the card that I would have liked to imperm because that draws them a new card. It's something that doesn't search like a mindless Cyber's body, but for the most part, all of their cards kind of do the same thing. They play around Nib by just ending on Firewall Decode Talker or Decode Talker Heat Soul, but we just can't really play through all this. We drew both our bricks and we have Black Metal Dragon, but I think our Black Metal Dragon gets ashed and then the game just ends, which is unfortunate. I didn't know how to side verse this. I probably would have brought in like evenlies and shit if I had known, but I didn't really know what the deck did, so you live and you learn, right? So we get ashed, and that's going to be the game. We're going to go to game 3, which I go first. He said, had the hand for the 4-link 4, you bored, but feared the nib. And then I said, should always fear the nib. It's a good thing he told me that he feared the nib. But I did bring in the nibs for this game, and I did bring in, I think I brought in the evenlies as well. No, I didn't, because I was going first. But I did bring in the nibs, because I'm just like, I can set up seal and just vibe, and nib will just beat him no matter what. So I Dragon Maid, search tidying. That's like step 1 of this whole process. And then I go link into striker, banish the striker for red med. Red med, bring back Dragon Maid. Unfortunately, Dragon Maid's hard once per turn, so we don't get to search another tidying. That would be really nice. We've got Called By, we've got Dragon Maid tidying, we've got Heavenly Spheres, and we got Nib. So the opponent has to do full combo with their 5th card because we have 4 pieces of interaction, more or less. They're going to have 6 cards, so they could technically do that. They could do it to us, but it's not very likely. They activate G Golem Rockhammer. I'm not even going to read this card. It just summons tokens. And then they activate the Pebble Dog in the grave. Now, I called by this guy because I'm like, I don't really know how much of the grave effects are really going to be that good. I'm just going to stop the first one. Because if I stop the first one and that's their only one, then called by got used very effectively. But if I don't stop the first one and that's their only one, I'm going to feel like an idiot. So yeah, I think in these types of matchups where they have a lot of redundant effects, it's good to just stop the first of them because if they don't have a second one, if they don't have an extender, then they just get owned. So I stop the Pebble Dog. They pitch the guy to summon the other guy. I don't really know how all this shit works. I'm just like, that's chill. That's a vibe. Whatever. Do your thing, dog. They make Lingaribo. This guy's kind of annoying because he can negate my tidying. So later on, we're going to have to bounce Lingaribo with Heavenly Spheres. They go for the Math Mech shit. They link off into the Code Talker inverted. And I'm like, you know what? Do your thing. Let's see what you can do with 3 tokens. I could have nibbed them at any point, really, but they still haven't used their normal summon. So I have to wait for them to use their normal summon or to burn all their cards for me to use this nib. They go ahead and link off into the G-Golem Stubborn thing. They link these guys off into the G-Golem Crystal Heart. This guy can bring back the G-Golem Stubborn thing, and then this guy can bring back another thing. So I'm like, yeah, they're just doing their thing. I'm going to try to bounce the Lingaribo here with the Heavenly Spheres. I could have waited to nib them until they had done all their shit and then had tidying for post-nib. But I actually wanted to get a Black Metal Dragon here so that I could search my second Red Metal Dragon and then have like that kind of stuff going on. So that was my game plan, more or less. But alas, they have Ash for this, which sucks. I was either trying to search Black Metal Dragon or Magnemite, but whatever. They go ahead and activate the Crystal Heart, brings out the guy brings out the other guy. Now they've used all these effects of all these monsters that help them stack bodies in play, and now I go for the nib. So I'm going to clear all their monsters. They still have 2 cards left. They still also have this token. They go for a Signet Mining. They're going to pitch Signet Conflict. Now they could search for Pebble Dog and do some crazy stuff, but Called By stops them from using all of Pebble Dog's effects for the remainder of the turn. So even monsters on the field or whatever, as long as it has the same name as Pebble Dog, it can't be used. So Signet Mining is going to be kind of tough for them to really put something together. We've grinded the game down to this point where we each have very few cards. This is kind of exactly what I want my deck to do. But my deck has Levianeer, so I'm just chilling. Or not my deck, but my hand has Levianeer, so I'm big chilling. They go ahead and summon their guy. They link off into the next guy, into IP. They can't attack over my nib. I was scared of them like killing me somehow through this nib, so I put it in defense position. But in hindsight, I probably should have put it in attack position. They use this guy, send the Dotscaper, bring him back. Then they link off into Heat Soul, draw a card, which is pretty solid, honestly, considering that they they were at 2 cards, they're still able to put up a Heat Soul, which is a really strong card. It's a draw engine. They attack over the Nibiru, and then they set a new back row, which is a called by off the top. On our turn, in the draw phase, they activate Decode Talker, so they're going to get to draw even another card here. And we luckily rip Black Metal Dragon. Now, we would have been able to summon Levianeer, and that would have been really fucking good because we just pop both their cards and we're big chilling. And we have Tidying to bounce their next play with our Levianeer as well. So it's chilling. But the fact that we drew Black Metal is just amazing. We link this off into Pisty. They do have Called By, which kind of sucks. And keep in mind, actually, this is something that I had to be aware of in the game. They used IP Masquerena to make their Heat Soul. So if I summon Levianeer and I try to pop it, I can't actually pop it because a link monster that uses card's material cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. So if I had forgotten that, then I wouldn't have been able to pop this, and I think my opponent would have crushed me. So good thing I paid attention to that in the actual game. I said fuck on the Called By. So we each kind of get got by Called By in this game, but that's okay. I banish my 3 monsters. I summon Levy. I say no effect. We go ahead and attack over both monsters. And I think main phase 2, I actually make a seal with my 2 monsters. I could be wrong. Yeah, I do. I make a seal. Here they try to activate Bestial Serenir, and I'm like, that's chill. They banish the Dragon Maid, which sucks because that was our follow-up off Tidying, but it's still fine. We can always grab another Dragon Maid off seal if we want to. They attack. We activate. We bounce their monster. We go grab Magnamut, activate the effect to search a dragon. And this is why the Bestials are so good in Dragon Link, because in the end phase, I can search any monster in my deck, more or less. I can search for whatever I want. They don't activate Serenir again. They evenly me. I'm like, all right, you got me. I'll banish the Tidying. I think the Tidying is just like not so good here. They don't have really that many lights or darks that I care about banishing. And like they have Serenir to fight over my Magnamut stuff. So it's like Tidying bounce Serenir is actually not that great. I'm just going to let that go. Off the top, we find Chaos Space, which is amazing. I go ahead and summon Black Metal. I link off into Seal again. So once again, making seals whenever you get the chance. We've made all 3 this game, as you can see. Comes up a lot. Black Metal searches Red Eyes Darkness Metal, and now I can Chaos Space, search Lubellion, and this is how the game takes a turn for the worse for our opponent. I'm not sure I could actually kill my opponent here. If I banish the seal for Red Eyes and I try to bring out like one of my other monsters, he just kills the Magnamut with his Serenir, and we're in an awkward stalemate. So I think that going for this play is a little bit better, going for the Chaos Space. It also leaves me with a ton of more cards in hand. I find Bestial Serenir, which is awesome. I Bestial Lubellion, go search, Magnamut. I banish for Serenir, their IP. I tribute Serenir for Lubellion. Serenir searches Regained or sends Regained. I activate Lubellion, go grab Beast. I attack with my monsters, or I try to go for game by activating Magnamut, but the opponent says, no, fuck that. Chain uses the Serenir for defense. Now I'm able to pop their Serenir using Branded Beast. Activate Seal here. Unfortunately, we don't have any more Red Eyes in our deck, or we could grab one of those and just kill the opponent. But, you know, that's what we would do in this instance. Instead, we just go Chamber, grab Tidying. It's going to be very difficult for the opponent to play through Beast Tidying with no cards. So we just attack for 25. End phase. I set the Tidying. End phase. Branded Beast brings out Branded Regained. And then, yeah, we just win, which was tight. We were able to grind out this crazy stuff thanks to the power of Nibiru. Our opponent played like 30 cards, and we were able to just like go through it. Sorry, not 30, 18. 30 was a over-exaggeration. We were able to grind through it with our seals and our Tidyings and our Lubellion and shit, and it just worked out. So that's kind of the power of this deck. Next replay. Oh, don't look. Spoiler alert, don't look. No, look away. God, I love Dragon Link. This deck is like, it's the only modern Yu-Gi-Oh deck that I get a blast out of playing. It's super, super fun. Okay, so this is my match against Salsho TTV. Apparently they're a streamer. I go ahead and win the die roll. And I have a great opening hand. Chaos Space is the best card in the deck, and we drew it. So, hell yeah. Link off into Striker, go grab our second Red Med. A little bit awkward to open Red Med, but it's just going to happen. We Chaos Space, pitch Red Med, go search Lubellion. Pitch Lubellion, probably. Yep. Go find Serenir. We go ahead and summon that Serenir, banishing the Red Med. The reason we want to banish the Red Med is there's a chance we'll want to bring out Black Metal later on off of this Red Med. Like, let's say this all gets stopped like it is now, like let's say they magnum it, banish our Lubellion, we'll be happy that we left the black metal because our red eyes can bring it back instead of leaving the red man because our red eyes can't bring that guy back. So that's that. They banish our Lubellion, which sucks, but it's just going to happen. I mean, everybody's playing these Bestial cards. We're able to put it back, draw a new card, and we find another Lubellion. Hell yeah. So lucky. And the cool thing about Lubellion, too, is that you can summon him from the hand. So we just tribute off the Serenir. Serenir's going to send Branded Regained. We're going to activate Lubellion, go grab Branded Beast, and now we've got our full setup. We're going to banish this guy for Red Eyes. Red Eyes is going to bring out the Serenir. We're going to link off into Seal. And then I'm going to use Branded Beast, pop the Seal, pop their Magnamut, go search a monster. I'm going to grab Chamber Dragonmaid. And Chamber Dragonmaid is going to search me Dragonmaid Tidying. So I can get super set up with my defense, more or less. We're trying to put up like a defensive board that keeps the opponent from killing us. And then we just like grind them down every single turn. Banish the Hieratic Seal for Black Dragon Collapse Serpent. Link off into Dark. And here I make the biggest error of the match. I forget to search my White Dragon. Which was really silly. If I searched the White Dragon, my hand would have been a lot better. And we wouldn't have gotten into some of the spots we get into, as you'll see later on. But I get a little bit ahead of myself. And I bring out their Magnamut. And I do get to search off this Magnamut. And at this point, I activate the Magnamut. And I realized I've forgotten to search off of my White Dragon. Or search off of my Black Dragon. I'm like, God damn it. So I took an extra second. I was like, okay, I got to slow down. I have Tidying, I have Beast, I have Branded Regained, I have a Magnamut Search, I have Dark to search Levy, I have everything I could possibly want. I have 2 Bestials in my hand, so I have 2 DD Crows. So what is this? It's like 1, 2, 3, 4-ish interruptions in quotation marks. And then on top of that, we get a special summon stuff back with Branded Regained. Our board is really sticky. It's hard to play through. Our monsters have huge stats, and they replace themselves, so it's just a good place to be. Here they go for Branded Opening. So I'm playing against the first Branded deck in this video. And this is a bad matchup, I think, for Dragon Link, generally speaking. I think the Branded stuff destroys Dragon Link. I actually think Branded Bestial might be one of the best decks in the format, but I haven't really figured out a list that I really like. So, yeah, Branded Opening pitch, and then bring out Owlbear. Owlbear is going to activate, and they're going to grab Branded Lost. And I'm like, thank God they didn't search Branded Fusion, because I have nothing for a Branded Fusion right now. They go ahead and activate Druid's Worm. I'm like, sure, that's fine. They banish my level 1. I get to use Regained twice. This gets to activate, put back the Black Metal Dragon, draw me a card, and then target the Serenir in my graveyard. Here, they activate another Bestial, a Magnamut. But I get to chain my Magnamut because now they control monsters and my guys become quick effects. So I can banish the Serenir and special summon my Magnamut. And that means I'm going to get another search at the end phase of this turn too. So I get to draw a card off Regained. And then Magnamut's going to get me a search at the end phase. I've got Tidying now to bounce my own Magnamut. I've got this guy to search Levianeer. This guy to search Levianeer. It's just going to be curtains for the opponent. They activate Branded Lost. I don't really want to deal with them getting unnecessary advantage. So I go ahead and Beast sack their Magnamut to pop their Lost. They can Branded Fusion, and we don't really have much for it, but we do have Tidying. And Tidying can not pop, but it can bounce the Lubellion that they go into off of Branded Fusion and make it really difficult for them to actually win. So I think we're actually kind of chilling low-key. They poly their monsters away, they make Masquerade, they activate Druid's Worm to pop my guy, but I'm like, I don't really care. If a monster ever gets summoned, I just bring it back with Regain. Like, it really doesn't matter. They summon Albaz. They use the effect to fuse our monsters away. And then I chain Tidying to bounce Magnamut and Albaz, and they just have nothing. They have this guy, but we're getting a search in the end phase. We got Bestial guys. We've got Branded Beast to pop that one guy. We've got Branded Regain to put back our stuff, go infinite more or less. It's just too difficult for the opponent to win there. They don't have enough damage or enough ways to really make stuff happen. This game, going second, our hand is a little bit worse, but we do have Ash Blossom for Branded Fusion. Now, I do know that Ash Blossom is good against the Branded Fusion decks because it stops specifically Branded Fusion. And that's the card you care about. If you can stop Branded Fusion, then you're fine. So that's why I boarded them in. I'm not sure what else I boarded in. I think I boarded in Evenleys as well, but I didn't draw them. Opponent activates Allure. I don't Ash this because, again, I'm just saving this for Branded Fusion. That's the card you need to stop. Allure of Darkness oftentimes isn't even a +1. It's just going to banish a Bestial or a random branded monster, Despia monster that's not Tragedy. They go for Branded in White, which I think is a really bad card and probably should not be in your deck. They activate it. They pitch Dramaturge Despia, Bestial Druisworm. They make Masquerade. And now they think for a long while and concede. Because what are you going to do? Are you really going to take on 6 cards with just a Dramaturge and a Masquerade? Like, is that really what you're going to do? And then your 2 cards in hand, like you have 1 Magnum. It's just two soft interruptions and a little burn guy. And that's it. And then you're at 0 cards. Like, how can you even honestly expect to play this game out against any respectable 6 cards? So I respect that my opponent fearfully and shamefully conceded after going first and activating all the cards they needed to activate. I respect it. All right, last replay. That one was not the highest quality, but this game, ooh, this is a nice game. This is a very, very nice game. This is a game against Tearlament, which is the best deck in the format. So we'll see how this deck fares against Tearlament. It is built to deal with Tearlaments fairly well, but you'll see Tearlaments is a very scary deck. Opponent gets to go first. We've opened 3 hand traps, which you'd think is pretty good. Plus, we've got Lubellion and Safer to like play the game. So we've got a decent shot at being in this game, despite going second against one of the best decks. They're also playing the branded stuff. So not only is it a Tearlament deck, but it's a Tearlament deck that we have a significantly worse matchup against, in my opinion, than the Ishizu lists. I think the branded lists are much scarier. They have a higher threat density. They'll force out your Bestials, and then they'll slam a branded fusion, and you're just like, fuck me, how do I win? You like literally can't deal with branded fusion. Oops, a little bit of spoiler. Highlighted it in their hand. Okay, they pitch Rhino Heart. So this is an insane opening, right? They have Rhino Heart to pitch to branded opening, and then they've got Aluber, and I'm just like, okay, I got to stop these. I got to stop these little guys. I'm going to imperm that Aluber because I can't deal with branded fusion resolving. If branded fusion resolves, we lose the game on the spot. Straight up. That card is so powerful. Branded fusion alone is like a +6, +7 card. And we can't deal with that type of card advantage. Mirror Jade is too good against our deck, so we have to imperm the Aluber. They're able to bring out the Rhino Heart. They pitch a card to try and activate this guy. But I chain the Bestial and the Infinite Imperm. I just want to shut them off as much as possible. Again, like I mentioned last game, if you let your opponent combo off and you don't spend your hand traps, you're going to feel like an idiot. Most of these cards are going to one card, like, just get going for them. But Rhino Heart's kind of like their main starter. Aluber's kind of like their other starter. I'm thinking, like, okay, what are the chances that they have a third starter? What are the chances that they have 3 starters to really make this happen? I don't think they're that high. They can't activate Aluber again. They can't activate Rhino Heart again. And if I get to untap on my turn and just survive this fucking nonsense, then I can actually do some serious damage with just Safer and Lubellion. So I activate Druisworm. Unfortunately, they just hard drew fucking branded fusion. And this is exactly why I think the branded builds are really, really scary and dangerous to play against. Because they'll just play through your Bestial and they'll just be like, all right, branded fusion at the end of all of it. And you're just like, damn, I never had a chance. Lubellion gets activated. They pitch Blazing Cartesia, which is really solid for them because it's a card that they can loop back to their hand if a fusion dies. They get to shuffle back the Sharon and banish the Rhino Heart to special summon out Kit Kalos, and then they get to send Albaz and Lubellion back to make Mirror Jade, and we are dead lost here. There's nothing we can do. They search Scream? No, they mill Scream. Then they activate Scream to search Soliak, which is like an effect Veiler kind of thing that gives them 5 mills. But yeah, so they have a negate, they have a banish, they have a board nuke if I ever clear this, and we have 3 cards to really work with here. Plus, on top of this, they can activate Mirror Jade now, send Albion, banish the Druisworm, and then Albion can search them Retribution, which is a hard negate. So they have 2 negates now. They have a nuke if we ever clear this, and then they also get to add back Cartesia to their hand for follow-up. This is a very hard board to break because if you kill Kit Kalos, or if they negate you with Soliak, then they get to mill 5 cards, and there's a chance that they can make Roll Kalos or Rhino Heart, the other guy. So it's very, very difficult to play through this. This is such a sticky situation. So even though we had 3 hand traps, thanks to broken branded fusion, they were able to play through it, which is very unfortunate. Blazing Cartesia gets added back to their hand, and they pass the turn. We pick up Red Eyes. Now we have a shot. We can kind of maybe piece something together, but it's going to be tricky. We have to force the Soliak, basically. We activate Bestial Lubellion first, search Magnamint, because I'm like, okay, Magnamut has to bait the Retribution. They have to want to stop Magnamut for some reason. So I activate Magnamut. They Retribution it. So step 1 successful. They shouldn't have used Retribution here because Magnamut doesn't really do anything to them, honestly. But hey, they made it happen. I normal summon Safer. I'm like, okay, they have to Soliak here. And if they actually don't, like let's say they pop their Kit Kalos and they negate Safer, we can banish Safer for Red Eye's Darkness Metal. Red Eye's Darkness Metal, bring out Magnamut, get an end-phase search, sack that for Lubellion, and actually win this game as long as the Kit Kalos doesn't mill a Tearlament. So we actually have a shot at winning this as long as our Kit Kalos doesn't mill a Tearlament here because of the way the cards were sequenced. So they're going to go for Soliak, sacking off the Kit Kalos, and unfortunately for us, they mill a Tearlament, and we lose because they're able to fusion summon into the big guy who negates everything. Yep, Rokalos. We can attack over the Owlbear. We can maybe put up a baby fight here. Now we can't activate Red Eye's Darkness Metal because Rokalos can negate it. So instead we just have to use Lubellion's inherent special summon and bring out Branded Regained. Hope to maybe put something together, but the opponent just has Branded Retribution to bring back Branded Fusion and we lose. So that was a really tough game. We were really, really close to winning, but weren't able to, despite having 3 hand traps. At least this game we get to go first. In this matchup, I boarded in the Skill Drains going first, and I also boarded in the Ash Blossoms. Now, normally I don't board in the Ash Blossoms, but they have Branded Fusion, and that card bucks us up. Unfortunately, we didn't draw any of our sideboard cards, but our hand is still pretty good. We can activate Lubellion, go get Serenir. Now, this is a little bit of an error for me. I should have searched Druis Worm because we already have Branded Beast. So, because we already have one of the branded cards, our Lubellion's going to search the other one, and we don't need to use Serenir's effect. So, for some reason, I thought we would need Serenir to find the spell, but we didn't. Activate Magnamut to banish Lubellion. The reason I do this is because I just need to get my engine online. So, Magnamut can search me a card. I'm going to set both my cards. End phase, I'm going to grab another Lubellion. So this may look a little bit soft. We've got Tidying, we've got Beast, and we've got Serenir. But it's actually 4 interruptions, right? It's Serenir, which is a banish. It's Tidying, which is a bounce. And then we'll bounce Magnamut, of course. And then Magnamut can banish again. So that's 3 there. And then Branded Beast is the 4th interruption. So although this looks deceptively soft, it's 4 interruptions. And I think this deck does pretty well with 4 interruptions against the Tearlament decks. Normal summons Tearlament Rhinoheart, activates the effect, sends Tearlament's Merrily. Merrily activates, and I let all of this resolve because I'm like, okay, they're going to fuse into Kit Kalos. That's fine. I can bounce Kit Kalos with Tidying. Now, I could have stopped it with Serenir, but if I stop it with Serenir, then I'm in an awkward spot, I think. I'm in an awkward spot also if they have their own Bestial monster for reasons, but yeah, I think I should have maybe stopped them Merrily and not let them get to Kit Kalos. I don't know. I don't know if this is right, but I was playing a little bit patient with my interrupts because I'm like, I'm just going to stop them when they go for the big guy because the big guy is what kills me. This guy doesn't kill me. The big guy kills me. And if I stop their 2nd or 3rd Tearlament effect, then they can't go for the big guy, basically. They activate Scream, which is a solid card here. It's going to make it so if I ever summon monsters, I'm just taking a gamble that they'll get their Tearlament activations. And then they activate Tearlament Kit Kalos. I try to chain Dragon Maid Tidying, but they have Super Poly, which destroys us. This is really, really bad for us because not only are we losing our Tidying and our Magnamut for only 1.5 cards because it's their worst card they're pitching to Super Poly, but they're also going to guarantee that they get the Kit Kalos effect, which sucks for us. So they're able to fuse off into Mud Dragon of the Swamp. Mud Dragon of the Swamp is actually pretty good here too, because it says your opponent cannot target this card or monsters on the field with the same attribute as card with card effects. So that's going to shut off our Branded Beast. So this Super Poly was absolutely crushing. They're going to be able to normal summon Havness, activate, or special summon Havness off of the Kit Kalos effect resolving, of course. And then they're going to, in a new chain, activate Kit Kalos to mill 5 and Tearlaments to mill 3. This is going to mill a bunch of cards, Chain Link 3, 4, or whatever. They're going to use Mud Dragon to declare dark. They mill 3 cards off of Tearlament Scream. Thankfully, no Tearlaments milled. And then they mill however many cards here. And they milled Ed Sheeran, or Tearlament Sheeran. Thankfully, only 1 name. And this is going to be the last of the names that I think they can activate outside of Havness. but they don't have as of right now, they don't have a way to get Havness in the graveyard by a card effect. So I'm like, okay, this is the last name. I'm going to use my Serenir now. So I'll use the Serenir that they knew about, banish the Sheeran, and then they're going to set a back row and pass the turn. Now I could Branded Beast here. I could Branded Beast to pop one of their cards, but first off, I can't even target their monsters, so I'd have to target one of their back rows. If I pop Scream here, now would be the time to do it, but I can also just risk that they don't mill a Tearlament or mill 2 Tearlaments, and I can search a Bestial. So Tearlament Scream is not something I actually really want to pop. I actually think it's better for me to have the Serenir in play than to trade it for the Scream. End phase, they're going to be able to add back the Cartesia, which is going to be their follow-up, but that's not going to do anything against us now, really. So we draw into a Bestial, which is really, really good. So now, even if they mill 2 unique Tearlament names off of the Scream, we're going to be big chilling. So I activate Lubellion first. Well, first things first, they activate Mud Dragon, naming Dark, which is fine. We activate Bestial Lubellion, go search Bestial Magnamut, and now we can sacrifice the Serenir to bring out the Bestial Lubellion. They're going to activate Tearlament Scream, but this is fine because we have the 2 Bestials in our hand. So even if they mill 2 unique Tearlament names, they mill 1. Even if they had milled 2, we could Bestial both of them. So they try to activate Merly. I activate Magnamut here. I special summon out the Magnamut, and then I get activate Magnamut's effect to search. Now, they activate Tearlament Sulliek to try and negate the Magnamut, which is fair. It is fair. I thought that they would maybe wait on using this card to negate the Lubellion searching Branded Regained, because that's the way we kind of go infinite against them. But also negating our search isn't bad. They're trying to set up a position where, thanks to the attack loss from Scream, thanks to a few other things, we won't be able to OTK them this turn. And as a result of that, they'll be able to go back to their turn, and I won't have searched another Bestial to my hand to interact with their plays on their following turn. So they're trying to stop my follow-up and just like pray that I don't die here. Or pray that they don't die here. They activate Havness, but since I have the second Bestial, I'm able to banish the Havness. And then here I activate Lubellion. They have no stops for this. We're going to grab Branded Regained, which is great. It means I can banish one of these monsters for red med and then draw a new card, which is I think what I do next. Yep. I banish the Druid Worm. The reason I banish the Druid Worm is I want to keep the Magnamut in circulation. I should have looked at my grave and realized I had another Magnamut. So I actually should have banished the Magnamut, but I didn't, so I messed up there. I shuffle back the Druid Worm. I draw a new card. I rip Starlight Safer, which is awesome. That means that I could potentially go for game here. I activate Red Eyes Darkness Metal. I bring out Serenir. I normal summon Safer. Safer goes and searches the Chaos Dragons. And I actually messed up, honestly, like pretty bad here. The reason I messed up is because I forgot that Alubear is going to come back when I kill this stupid Mud Dragon. So, yeah, I forgot. I go for a game shot. I special summon out the Black Dragon. Link into Striker Dragon. Grab White Dragon. Special summon that. And this would be lethal. Despite the attack loss from Tearlament Scream, this would be like 8,200 or something. But alas, I forgot that Alubear comes back. So I forgot that this board is much stickier than it should be. They're going to bring back the Alubear. I can attack over it with Striker Dragon. And now I can deal 7,200 additional damage, putting them to 400. But because that Alubear came back, I couldn't deal the last 500 points of damage. And so, yeah, kind of tough. We're actually not in a great spot. I can make Seal, and I can make the other guy, the zombie guy, Wallow. But this is not good. This is straight up not good, because Sulliek alone can force both of these. So I have to seal the Sulliek so that they can't use this to force both of these activations. So I go ahead and seal the Sulliek now in the draw phase. And then I use my Heavenly Spheres to search out a Magnamut to guarantee that I get a search for the next turn. So that if I somehow miraculously survive this turn, I can maybe piece together the last 400 points of damage. The opponent goes ahead and activates Branded Fusion. I'm just like, fuck me, dude. It's just so hard to play through all of this stuff from this deck. It's so difficult. They activate Branded Fusion. They send Albaz and Ed Sheeran. They go ahead and special summon out Lubellion. Activate Lubellion and activate the Sheeran as well. Sheeran is going to bring out their big thing, but I do have Wallow to negate that. So, well, not negate it, but fizzle it, basically. Shuffle it back in the deck. And that's what I have to go for. So I'm going to shuffle back the Sheeran, and then they're going to go for the second whatever dude's effect, and then make Roll Kalos. So not a great spot. Not a great spot, but an okay spot. An okay spot. Tearlament Scream gets activated, and Branded Regain gets activated, and then Branded Beast is going to be Chainlink 3. So on the summon of this Real Kalos, they would mill 3, and we would get to special summon back a Bystial, but I don't want them to mill 3 because I can't really afford to play through that. So I'm going to chain Branded Beast, sacking the Magnemite and popping their Scream, and I'm like, what are the chances they play another trap card? We know for sure Soliak's already in their hand because we bounced it. So as long as we can just keep them off of, this mill 3, then we're good to go. We sack the Magnemite that we got off of Seal, which is a 0/0, so it's like our worst card. Pop the Scream, and bring back Serenir. And unfortunately for us, they actually do play another trap card. They play the Meta Noise. And Meta Noise, where is it? Meta Noise is actually really fucking good here. It's a Book of Moon that also is a Foolish and lets them summon out the big guy who we've been trying to stop from coming out, the guy who shuffles back my cards. So, bad position to be in. Very, very bad position to be in for us. We're going to lose most of our board this turn. Thankfully, no, that's it. We're just going to lose most of our board this turn. It's kind of tough. They summon out Rhino Heart. They activate the effect. Descend Merrily. Merrily activates. And they can make the big guy anyway. So they had the extension. They had the extension to do it. They go ahead and activate Kaleido Heart. This is going to shuffle back my Wallow, Sag. 3,000 attack point Wallow going to the extra deck. They're going to attack over my Red Med. And they're going to attack over my Serenir. And I believe with Serenir, I do send a Druis Worm. Because I just wanted to have access to that in the graveyard for reasons. Plus, drawing Druis Worm here is not that good. End phase, we get a search. We're going to grab Chaos Dragon Levianeer. So now we need to play through both back row, which we know is both Soliak and Meta Noise. We need to play through Kaleido Heart, blinking, and spinning back one of our cards. We need to play through Real Kalos having a weird sort of Royal Oppression effect that can activate at least twice. And all we have is Chaos Dragon Levianeer, plus our draw step, plus what we have in play right now. So it's a little bit tough. We could have Branded Beast to pop one of their cards, but what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to use Chaos Dragon Levianeer, activate the effect, bait out the Soliak activation, and then chain Branded Beast to sacrifice Levianeer, and then pop 2 other cards. So we'll try doing something like that. And as long as I draw a starter, which I do, I might be able to play through both back row and piece together an access code OTK. And by OTK, I mean dealing the last 400 points of damage. So, I go for the Levianeer. I activate Regained, I activate Levianeer. They chain Soliak, targeting the Levianeer. I chain Branded Beast, sacrificing the Levianeer to pop their last back row. Because this is the one thing that can stop me from going into access code. It's the Tearlament's Meta Noise. So they go ahead and chain that. They book the Lubellion. They send Merrily. Then I do get to pop 2 cards. I thought for a really long time here. I decided to pop Real Kalos and Lubellion and not pop Rhino Heart because I'm like, if they have a way to blink Kaleido Heart. If they have a way to blink Kaleido Heart, then it's really bad. And if they blink Kaleido Heart here and spin back any of our cards, we kind of get fucking owned. So, yeah, we can't really do that. We go ahead and put back the White Dragon. The reason we have to put back the White Dragon off of Branded Regained is because we need something we can special summon that we can search off of Seifert. So the plan is to go Seifert, activate, send itself, get the White Dragon, banish Seifert, add back Levianeer, and then figure something out along the way. Hopefully our draw is another way to get a monster, and thankfully it is, because it's a Dragon Maid. So they're able to bring out the dude, and they spin back Regained, which is fine, because we already got our draw off of it. It's fine. The reason they spin back the Regained is because if they bring out their monster, and I have Regained still in play, I can special summon out one of our Bystials, and potentially put something together there that way. Now that the Real Kalos has not been fusion summoned, it's special summoned by its own effect. If I kill it again, it won't be in play. So I'm thinking maybe I kill that again. I don't know. We'll figure it out. They go ahead and shuffle back the cards. They make Dragostap. I flip Lubellion. I'm like, I need to bait this Dragostap activation. I activate my Lubellion. They negate my Lubellion, which is really, really good for us. It's really, really good for us because we had already used our Branded Regained this turn. It wasn't really going to do anything more for us. So them negating this doesn't really affect us at all. We can normal summon Seifert. Now they have no more negates. They have no more anything. We're able to send Chamber Dragon Maid, search White Dragon Wyver Burster. We're able to activate the Tidying. They could negate the Tidying using Real Kalos, but nonetheless, we'd be able to ladder up and then banish Seifert to add back the Levy. Special summon the Levy, I think. Yep, we can still special summon the Levy even though we already used its effect. and then we can link off into access code and get the last 400 points of damage. So this was a crazy fucking game. There was a lot to go over. There's a lot to go over here. I mean, there's a lot that's happening. You have to focus on the positioning, and you have to focus on your like game plan more or less when you're in situations like this. I think our opponent could have just summoned their cards in defense position, and we would have really struggled to win through this. We would have had to banish some dude to pop the other dudes, and we wouldn't have had enough dudes to pop the dudes, if that makes any sense. And then we wouldn't have been able to kill them, and then they would have had enough to like really do some crazy shit next turn. So yeah, that was tough. That was really, really tough. We go ahead and link off into an indestructible access code thanks to IP. And we do still have Starlight Seafert to add back Levianeer. If we need to for follow-up, we'll go ahead and use the access code, attack over the Dragostap, and win the game. That was an insane game. I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure what that means. I'm not even sure what that means, if I'm going to be real with you. I'm not even sure what that means. Okay, moving forward. We've got game 3. And you can see here, we've drawn some good ones. We've drawn Ash Blossom plus a Bestial, so we can stop Brand Diffusion plus any Tearlament activation. And then we've also got Skill Drain. So if they set up a crazy board, I can just flip Skill Drain and be like, get fucked, nerd. So that's where we're at. Plus, we've got Pot of Desires to load up our hand. Things look pretty good. Opponent activates Terraforming, and they think for a really long time on this Terraforming. I let it resolve because I'm just like, I'm going to save Ash Blossom for the thing, for the Brand Diffusion. Because that's the card I'm the most scared of, is Brand Diffusion into Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade is just going to mess us up. They go for a Rhino Heart. I just let this happen. They activate Merrily, and I'm like, nah, fuck that. We're using our Bestial now. They set a back row. They set another back row, and they activate the Zombie World that they search off Terraforming. Now, normally Zombie World actually really messes up this deck. You can't activate the Lubellion in the graveyard, or not activate, but you can't bring him out from the graveyard. You can't activate Branded Beast. You can't, banish for Red Med. You can't link off into Sphere or Striker Dragon or Pisty. So it's actually really difficult for the deck to play under Zombie World under normal circumstances. However, since the opponent is very action light, they have no extenders, they have no way to really continue playing through this first Bestial, it's going to be pretty easy for us to take over this game despite being kind of nerfed by the Zombie World. We're able to pick up another Bestial, which is just amazing. We go ahead and attack over the Rhino Heart, dealing 1,000. Activate Pot of Desires main 2. Draw 2 new cards. I could have done this main 1, but I didn't want to clue them in and trigger any back row that might have needed them to have a Tearlament in play, like Soliak or something like that. So I just wanted to clear the Rhino Heart before going for the Pot of Desires. We pick up double Lubellion, which is actually pretty good. I can just pitch these guys, go search the other things. One of them this turn and then one of them next turn, of course. I set my Skill Drain. And now I've got double Bestial, Ash, Skill Drain, and I don't think we can really lose from this point because the opponent's draw has been kind of anemic. They go ahead and summon Fallen of Albaz, try to fuse off with our card. We flip Skill Drain, and that's just a crush. They just pass the turn. I could have dropped one of my Bestials, but I'm like, I'll just wait. I normal summon Black Metal Dragon because we drew it. Even though Skill Drain is on the fields, we can still get the search if he dies. Attack over this guy, attack directly. Main phase 2, Bestial Lubellion, go search Serenir. Now we have all 3 Bestial names. We've got an Ash Blossom. We've got follow-up if this guy dies. We've got Levianeer. We top deck Branded Beast. This card would be good, but Zombie World is in play. I go ahead and activate Serenir, try to attack. The opponent does have Super Poly, which is pretty good against us here. They're able to fuse off our 2 monsters. They do fuse off with the Black Metal Dragon, which is interesting. I'm shocked that they didn't fuse off both Serenirs, but I guess they understand that we have more Bestials, so it's not really that big of a deal. We go ahead and search our Red Eyes, and we do send the 3rd Lubellion because I actually don't want to draw it. So we send it here, and then I attack over the dude. They get a new draw, and they get to bring back something with Aluber. I keep forgetting about that stupid Aluber effect. I should have just Bestialed it, so I didn't have to think about it. I go ahead and Bestial now, banishing their Fallen of Albaz. And then I activate the effect in case they have something that pops this on the summon. And then I attack over the Aluber. Even though the effect is negated, I still want to remember to activate it. Here I set the Beast and pass the turn. Now we're actually in kind of a tough spot because Beast isn't live. I thought Beast would be live, but it's not. So, yeah, I only have 1 Bestial and 1 Ash to deal with potentially 3 cards worth of action. But we do have Skill Drain face up, so maybe that's locking them out of doing some stuff. I draw for turn. I go ahead and summon Levianeer. I try to activate the effect. I try to chain Branded Beast, but this is silly. I can't actually do this. And in hindsight, it's probably for the best that I didn't, because if I did activate this and popped a card that has an effect when it gets popped, like Soliak or something, it could have been bad for us. So I was just trying to go for game this turn and not really think about it too much. But in any case, we just attack with everything and we win. So it's all the same. It's all the same. Crazy game. Crazy match. Somehow we're able to take it down. Opponent drew a little bit too much of their interaction, like their Imperm and their Call By and their Zombie World and their Soliak. And they didn't draw enough of their engine. They drew Super Poly too, but they just didn't have enough engine cards to really make anything happen, which was good. It was good for us. And Skill Drain was able to lock things up. So kind of showcased the power of Skill Drain in that matchup. Hopefully you guys like this video. There's a lot going on in this deck. There's a lot going on in these games. There's a lot to just take in, I think. It's a really, really hard, not hard deck to play, but a hard deck to get used to playing because the play patterns are not very Yu-Gi-Oh, if that makes sense. And playing against stuff like Tearlament, it's like running a marathon, man. I don't know how people play whole tournaments against that shit without like PEDs or something crazy. In any case, smash like, subscribe, see you in the next vid. Peace.